Hey, look, it's new gameplay for that big yoink car game everyone's been talking about. Wait a minute, why does everyone look low poly? Where are my shark cards? Believe it or not, I do have it in me to talk about games released this century. I might even play them too. Regardless of what you or I think, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to make a lot of money. The funny thing is, half the people playing the cash cow that is 5's online mode nowadays weren't born yet when it released. I guess the squeakers eventually migrated from MW2, or at least the ones not still playing Fortnite. But each Rockstar game, especially a new GTA, is a huge cultural event. I still remember going to JB Hi-Fi on release day, the big retailer here in Australia, and it was decked out with signs and posters, including warnings about the R18 plus rating, that staff would be extra vigilant not to sell it to teenagers, and ID would be required. The fact that GTA 6 is just around the corner feels almost unreal. Is that a good or bad thing? I don't know. It's hard to say. Unlike Half-Life 3 or The Elder Scrolls 6 or, I don't know, Chess 2, the game's actually coming out, and it's obvious that the industry has changed to the point it's going to smash all sales records before it. This is the absolute, hell, platonic ideal of what I've talked about before with the idea of critical mass. The audience is so large, the hype at a fever pitch, that everyone and their dog is going to be playing GTA 6. And the inevitable and insufferable content mills have already descended on it like a pack of vultures. Rockstar breathes, and you just know IGN is going to make a video out of it. The reason I bring all this up though is that while I would like to think 6 is going to be another banger from Rockstar, the studio hasn't missed so far. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have some concerns already. And unfortunately, to bring us back to the point of the video, at this stage, all the criticism in the world really doesn't matter. This game is going to blow up the industry. That's how crazy the hype has become. I'm not the first person to point this out, but if you watch my video talking about the first trailer all the way back in 2023, my chief concern with GTA 6 is around the quality of the writing. For the first time ever, the script has zero involvement from Dan Houser, the co-founder of Rockstar and main creative force, i.e. the lead writer, on all their games to date. Not only that, Michael Unsworth, another one of the main writers, left midway through development, and we all know what happened with Leslie Benzies. Now, the cope argument here would be that yes, one or two writers does not an entire game make, or a genre-defining masterpiece, clearly. Rockstar is ruthless in maintaining its cone of silence, which is why the leaks were so fascinating at the time, but the studio stretches around the world and total development teams number in the thousands, almost all of which is in-house, which that in itself is crazy. Even Naughty Dog and other flagship AAA studios will often outsource for everything from QA to 3D and everything in between. Still, it would be one thing had Houser decided to move on to other things and he parted ways amicably, but that was not the case. The main guy responsible for that biting satire in GTA 4, or the quintessential Western in RDR1, clearly has a lot of talent. So one can only imagine then he saw the writing on the wall when management rejected his script and GTA 6 was rewritten entirely, not once, not twice, but 3 times. 3 times over, because it was, quote, too dark. That puts things into perspective, doesn't it? When we combine this with the fact that Rockstar has been told repeatedly to not punch down, the once great developer that thrived on controversy to the point it literally manufactured outrage in the early days to help sell copies, now removes transgender NPCs that barely anyone would have noticed anyway, and covered up Confederate flags, or perhaps most infamous of all, temporarily shut down the GTA Online servers because of George Floyd. It doesn't exactly paint a picture of a developer with the guts of past titles where no one was safe. That was the point. But times have changed, and so has Rockstar, unfortunately. Again, we circle back to my main concern, the writing and how toothless and flat a series known for satirizing everything is going to be, all because Zelnick needs to buy himself another yacht. It seems even a developer as legendary and widely beloved as Rockstar is not immune from their own fall from grace in a way, because I can't help but notice that something feels off with GTA 6. Am I hyped? Not really. I wouldn't say any of the GTA games have ever really had a huge impact on my life, but I've gone on record before that Red Dead Redemption is one of my favorite games of all time, and Rockstar is a developer, at least up until now, that I would gladly pick up their games at release unconditionally. Whether or not I'll be there on day one this time depends on what platform 6 is going to be released on. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting a simultaneous PC and console release this time, given that there isn't a new console generation around the corner like the past two titles, where Rockstar has double dipped, along with obviously milking 5 ports and remasters and whatnot for all it's worth, but I guess we'll see when pre-orders open in the next day or so. This video isn't super scripted, by the way, and neither am I trying to be the big industry doomsayer that you shouldn't buy 6 because think of the children or some other contrived moral panic. Like I said about the idea of critical mass, the chatter is all just white noise because this game is going to do numbers regardless of what happens. Evidently though, profit margins have become Rockstar's chief concern, and we don't need to look much farther than the gargantuan online mode in 5 that will inevitably consume everything like some symbiotic mass straight out of the end of Akira. Rockstar spearheaded the always online mode, stupid, annoying DRM, and the lampshading predatory monetization with everyone's favorite shark cards. Haha, get it? Which already had an adverse effect on RDR2 at the time. Rockstar screwed it up so badly, in fact, that some of you will remember they were just giving out gold left and right and broke the entire economy in those early days of RDR2's online mode because there was so little to actually do. I can't imagine I'll be playing much of 6's online mode, if at all, given how things have changed for the worse the past few years, and my endless cynicism around live service shit knows no bounds. So my primary concern around 6 is the single player, and whether Jason and Lucia have the heart behind them to truly hold up to their predecessors. Rockstar still has the engine, they had that same obsessive attention to detail and entire suites of people dedicated to individual mechanics, but will the game also be falling into the same trap of trailer moments to pad out the story? Will the remaining writers have the confidence to let the story breathe, give it downtime? I won't harp on about this any longer, but to make a long story short, it's something to keep at the back of your mind. Don't screw this up, Rockstar, because Hauser and Michael Unsworth not being involved is a big deal, whether you personally want to acknowledge the litany of red flags at this point or not. Taking all the corporate, performative diversity shit into account, and Big Daddy Zelnick standing in the corner with a whip, it's nigh on depressing. Anyway, aside from the writing, the last thing I want to talk about is mechanical bloat, and whether Rockstar will have taken the wrong lessons from RDR2. Another key creative figure in the last few games, lead game designer Imran Sarwar, isn't involved, following the supposed firing of the Old Guard, or Boys Club, back around 2020, which leads me to question whether Rockstar will keep that same stat meta progression from 5, for example, or the stupid, annoying, superfluous core system of RDR2. It's a byproduct, if anything, of Rockstar having the time and resources to do absolutely everything, but RDR2 was really where I found myself asking just because they could doesn't necessarily mean they should. Tying back into all that money money that online brings in? Is the open world meaningfully filled out with fun and interesting things to do, or is it going for purely size? And are we stepping into Ubisoft territory here? Do we really need something like the horse testicles, where every strand of hair on a character's head is individually rendered, or a minigame of manually working on a car engine, or YouTubers so desperate for ad revenue they end up making graphics comparisons of how beer bottles refract light? Obviously, I'm being hyperbolic, but you get the idea. If my chief concern with the writing is that it'll be safe, selective, or worst of all, sterile, the gameplay and mechanical side of things is something I'm less sure about. I love RDR2 as much as the next guy. It was incredibly ambitious and a real epic of a story, but the question I pose to you is whether the hundreds or thousands of developers have meaningfully spent their time the past few years working on secondary or tertiary mechanics that contribute to a fun and memorable game, or whether it's there because they could. Especially because 6 is focused on realism in the same way I'm tired of sweaty, hyper-realistic shooters where you can break your leg bending down to pick up each individual casing off the ground. But that's about it from me. I'll probably be there day one like the rest of you guys, with a cautious optimism in the belief that GTA 6 will pull through on all accounts, that it'll deserve every bit of its commercial and critical success, but the industry of something as relatively recent as 5 is very different to how things stand today. We'll see come November, assuming, it doesn't get delayed again.